The difference between average people and successful people are successful people take massive immediate action without knowing what the end result is going to be. I have found that men are most lovable when they are vulnerable. To answer the question of how many true friends do you have to call upon in a time of need, right? Yeah. We call this a 3 a.m. friend. How many 3 a.m. friends do you have? The most common answer is 0. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% about what you respond next.
Right. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are listening. I appreciate it. Welcome back to the Authentic Identity Podcast. We took a kind of a hiatus over the last couple months. So if you're still tuning in, if you're watching this this crazy stuff, just thanks for being you. We appreciate you. Well, we're back in the studio. We're in our new location here in Santa Clara, Southern Utah, and we're adding to this space every day. So keep an eye out for changes. We're going to be doing some funny green screen stuff, just having a good time on the show like we used to. Live streams on Twitch coming soon, all that good stuff. But today I have a rather cool gentleman that I've bumped into recently. Had the pleasure of meeting. Just needed some media help randomly. Had some urgency behind it, and I was like, let's do it, man. And he's an awesome dude that I'm excited to introduce to you guys. I have with me Ty Condie. Thanks for being here, Ty. How you doing,
It's a
man?
pleasure. Thank you very much. It's doing swell and wonderful and ready to get going here.
Dude, perfect. I'm stoked because Ty is... It's not really like super interesting. It's not really like this amazing like story. It's not Oprah worthy, but the most important things in life are just solid, discipline, foundational thing. Like when you think about masculine, okay, look at Ty. Let's pan to him real quick. He looks like a Greek god, dude. Like, yeah, we're the same age, and like I just look older. So yeah, but I think he's going to help me out this year. I'm really excited to introduce you. He's the owner of the Dad's Movement. Okay, that's what it is on Instagram. You can find that handle there. Let's just shout that out. I'll shout it out again. But at Dad's Movement, or is it at the Dad's Movement?
Just Dad's Movement.
Perfect. Yeah. So he's doing something interesting here. It's been done a lot, but I like Ty's approach the most because my bullshit meter, when I was in the military, like they shovel so much in your face, I can smell it from a mile away. I really can. And so this whole show is about being authentic. And I think Ty Condie is one of the most authentic guys that has in his heart the most desire to help men just optimize themselves physically, spiritually, and everything. And it's kind of cliche. A lot of people are doing this, but I've just gravitated to you. After seeing you speak the other day, there's just something authentic about you, man, that I have to tip my hat to, because a lot of guys, they're just kind of pushing this fake stuff, and they're probably helping people, we'll give them that benefit of the doubt, but like, I'm really impressed with the Dad's Movement and your ethos. So I want to give you let you intro yourself real quick. And then I got some questions we'll just dive into and get this interview going. But tell us about the Dad's Movement first, because that's what I introed you on.
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks to you as well, Blake. It's rare that you have a conversation with a media guy that becomes like so aligned in what we're doing anyways. And so it's like we've had already 3, 4, 5 conversations, and each one I was like, man, we should have talked about this on a podcast.
Why were we not recording?
Yeah, I know it. So, but no, kudos to you as well, just with what you're doing in your life and in your business and things like that. So very much in alignment with what we do here at the Dad's Movement. So true to the name there, it is a movement of men. So we're looking to awaken a generation of men that are seeking to lead themselves, their families, their businesses at the highest level, right? And so you talk about optimization, performance optimization. That's what we're aiming for, right? Not normalization. We don't go for average. We go for optimization, right? So really what it comes down to is kind of 4 key areas of growth. And this has been through a lot of my own story, right? I kind of bring my own story into what I do in the coaching space and what I found to be most personally beneficial to me. But it comes down to really 4 key areas of the Dad's Movement. And that is, number 1 is health optimization, right? So it's a comprehensive approach to men's health, wellness, fitness, and longevity, right? So it's not just focusing on getting the abs, getting the muscles. It's like, what are you doing right now to really optimize your health so you can live the longest and highest quality life possible?
Yeah.
Right. So I get really psyched up when I see the dudes that are 50, 60 years old that are shredded down to, six pack, but they can also play with their grandkids and go on hikes and things like that. That's to me the real flex. Not so much the bodybuilder that has 400 pounds of muscle but can't hike more than half a mile. So, and again, so there's a lot of factors that go into health optimization, from the, blood work and hormone analysis and gut health to everything with nutrition plans and cardio prescriptions and training protocols, everything in between. So, we really hang our hat on that because truthfully, when you have your health, then you have a million other problems, right? But when you don't have your health, you have one problem. That's to get healthy again. So that's kind of our first core thing. And a lot of that comes from my background playing collegiate athletics and, having that performance, background. So number 2 is going to be a leadership development. Mm-hmm. So truthfully, leadership development inside and outside the home. So with your kids, with your wife, and with your business. And that's something that I as well struggle with a lot is balancing and harmonizing these areas of my life where I'm leading my wife and leading my kids and my business at the highest level. Right. And so there's always a give take relationship there, but we work on those. We have some really high power leaders that are part of the Dads movement that come to speak to us, that are working with us, and we all benefit from. And then third, and this is maybe one where it kind of goes more unique, is friendships. I have had many conversations and been in many coaching rooms where I've recognized that male loneliness is at an all-time high. Male suicide, it is an all-time high. And if you were to survey, most high-performing men are going to answer the question of how many true friends do you have to call upon in a time of need, right? Yeah. We call this a 3 a.m. friend. How many 3 a.m. friends do you have? The most common answer is 0.
Yeah.
So just, let that sink in. So we work on friendships, being around guys that are genuinely enjoyable and forging some friendships, because those are important. And then fourth, and perhaps most overlooked, is fun, right? Many coaching spaces are so heavy and it's driving down the guy's throat, just, how bad they are, what they're not doing right.
Yeah.
And, there's a time and a place for, the old kick in the pants and the military style of military tactics, as you well know, having the military background. But there's also a time and a place where you can take a dude and, a group of guys and go out and golf, right? Go out and go to the driving range, go out and shoot some guns, go whitewater river rafting, go NASCAR driving, things like that, just to get them out and just to have fun, enjoy it. Because if you're doing all this stuff and you're not enjoying life, what are you doing, right? What's the whole point of this? So that's a big part of the Dads movement is we really want guys, entrepreneurs, fathers, leaders, business owners, husbands to have more fun and more enjoyment in life. So,
dude, well said. And this is why I think I gravitated toward you. Like just, I was there doing photography for you. We had Caleb on a gimbal camera, and my wife was doing a wide shot in the back. Like, so we were just listening, and I've heard this rigmarole so many times, man. Like I've been pitched on guy groups. I'm like, let's go hang out. I'm like, but you got to pay me. And like, that's obviously part of it. Like, but the way you've set it up, right, it's like your friends first. And then like people can just get access to Ty. And then obviously if they want to go deeper, that's where like your monetary earnings come from. Right. And like, there's things that you need because we need energy. Right. Unfortunately, hey guys, like we're all adults, like there has to be an energy circulation, and that usually is in the form of money, because the real energy that you're given, that's going to your family, that's going to other things. And so that's why I think we're all kind of lonely anyways, because we have such little energy to give to somebody else, right? Like a bro or a homie. Like I can't just go, like in high school, you remember you could just go hang out,
right.
Or whatever. Like it's like the stakes were so high, or like your college basketball days, right? What would you do? You'd be back at the dorm. You just hang out naturally. That was your natural state of being, was like hanging out.
Right.
Right. Or something could go down. But yeah, when you have obligations, like you're running a business, you're doing things, it's almost like you have to schedule like play dates with the boys. Otherwise you won't have the boys. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's kind of frustrating to see. And I'm really intrigued with your approach. It just feels more authentic, man. Because like you can actually crack a joke and have a good time. It's not so much like this heavy, like you were saying.
Right.
There's a time and place for that. I love how you say that. But having been there, been in some heavy shit myself, been in the military, and like even in the serious moments, like we were just cracking jokes anyway. We didn't take anything seriously except our craft. And so to have somebody who, as a veteran, somebody who's like never been in my shoes, like yelling at me, like I'll punch you in the mouth, dude. Like,
Right.
I'm not here. I'm not going to a pretend Navy SEAL boot camp for like, I'm not paying 30 grand to do that. So there's a lot of like buffoonery going on, but yours is just so simple. And you're kind of focusing on local guys, right? Like, what's your main focus? Is this nationwide, or like, how would I find you?
Yeah, so we certainly have out of state clients that are part of the movement here, but yeah, here in St. George, it's just this type of program or this type of support for men just doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
I guess we are a smaller market here, just a couple 100,000 residents total. But I've noticed, we've been here in St. George for 5 years now, and most men that are of my age or around my age, between the ages of 30 to 50, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they work online. Mm-hmm. So there's such limited interaction with other human beings.
Yeah,
that it's such a need here locally in St. George for a men's group, a men's brotherhood, a true brotherhood community where we can rely on each other. We can hang out with each other. We can push each other. We can hold each other to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it is going to be a strong focus here locally in St. George, because I'm got a lot of great relationships with people and businesses and corporations here that allow us to have more fun, to have more adventure, to have more leadership experiences here. And so, but yes, we do have out of state brothers as well that will fly into events, or we'll go, maybe down to Arizona or California, some of the Western United States. So
right on, dude. Well, like the point of this podcast, we'll shift gears a little bit. I feel like we've got the professional necessities kind of addressed. We'll dip back in and out of that because it is tied to your profession, and that's important. But as men, right, no matter what we do professionally, like when you were speaking, everybody went around because of the group that was there. Like a lot of new people were there, so everyone had the mic for about 15 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. So this is where I met Ty the other day, and people, they're excited to talk about what they do professionally, and you can see this like, the word ego is kind of met with negativity. I think ego is an important tool. Or we were talking about that on the phone the other day. But you can see this little professional ego show because you're serious about it, right? This is my living. Like if I talk about Blueform Media and I talk about what I'm going to do for you and create this show, like I'm not like gaffing off. I'm serious. And you guys can see the seriousness in Ty right now as he's talking about this movement. This is his passion. This is his professionalism. And like he's helped people with real results. And so you're seeing a little bit of a professional ego, which should be comforting for you. So now that that's been addressed, though, we'll dip back into that. And I want us to notice the shift when we start talking about our professions. We'll dip into that ego a little bit. But I want to go like a layer deeper underneath that because we know it's there. You're right, because you're a pro. I mean, look at you. You're a competitor. If there's anyone that's going to lead this movement, dude, it's you, right? After knowing you, after hearing you speak. But I want to know a little bit deeper. So I want to get a little bit more vulnerable, a little more real, right? Because if you and I are friends, like we're just shooting the shit in my garage,
right,
tinkering on something,
right,
that's where you really get to know people, right?
Sure.
So let's imagine we're there for a second. But like tell me, what books are you currently reading? And then I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, actually, my goal for this year is to read the Old Testament front to back.
Nice.
So I haven't done that yet, and I've read bits and pieces here, but that's the book I'm currently reading is the Old Testament. So,
and I was going to ask you, that probably answers it, but I was going to say, is that the book you want to read, or was that somebody told you to read that?
No, this has been on my mind for a while now. So I want to do this. I want to say, hey, I've from a biblical perspective, I've read the Old and New Testament front to back, right? Every page, every word. And because a lot of what we do is, part of the Dad's movement, there is a spiritual component to it, not religion, but relationship, right? Because I've seen, and this is something that we really harp on a lot, is the men that have the most insane transformations that I've worked with the past 10 years is there's one real key is they're able to attach a deep spiritual meaning to their daily habits and actions.
Yeah.
Right. So deep spiritual meaning to your daily habits and actions. Those are the guys that have the most insane physical transformations.
Right.
Mentally, they're just so much sharper. Maritally, their marriage is on fire, right? They're thriving. So, yeah, I mean, and true to myself, the Authentic Identity podcast, right?
Yeah.
It would be like disingenuous if I didn't talk about my relationship with God, but I want to strengthen that through my study of the Old Testament this year.
Well, that's the whole point of this question, because it's a trap.
Okay.
You pass the trap.
Okay.
Because I say, what book you're reading? And then the self-help world goes like, oh, Tony Robbins, or like they give me some book. And like, I always follow it up with like, but is that really what you want to be reading? Like, where's your real pull? Because like last year, like I'm going to reread the Lord of the Rings series. Like, I don't give a shit, right? Like that's authentically, I'm like, I need to escape. Like even Tolkien, like one of the best writers of our time, like the super devout Christian, like that whole book is just, it's like an allegory for, the Christian faith. It's crazy.
Right.
And so, but he's like, yeah, escapism is like needed for the progression of humankind. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'd forgotten about that sometimes. I'm so in my professional ego, I'm so hell-bent on that stuff. And so that's really cool, man. You're like, yeah, I could read all the self-help book here, but I'm just going to go back to the original, man. The OG, the Bible.
The OG of the OG, right? Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's, you passed, my trap card did not win. You passed the trap. So, but yeah, give me a win. Like here we are, the 12th of January. This will probably be published by end of week or early next week.
Cool.
So if you're watching this was a week ago. But we're like the first 2 weeks of the year. Give me a win.
Man, well, a big win for me was the launch of the Dads movement, right? This has been in the works for a while now. And what I was really happy about was things came together in such a serendipitous way where this was going to be launched on Friday, this last Friday, which was January, what was like the 9th or something like that, or 8th rather, the day after my birthday. So birthday January 7th.
That's
so
right.
It's, 5 days
Happy
ago.
belated birthday again.
Yeah, the big 3-8, the great 3-8, as my wife says. So, but so I was planning on launching it on January 8th anyways, but I had a friend who I'm, kind of running this entrepreneurs club for, with alongside here in St. George. And he said, hey, Ty, we'd like to have you actually live launch the Dads movement at our event. And this was 36 hours after, 36 hours in advance notice, right? So not a lot of time to prep or anything like that. But, years ago, I received the advice, and this was from Ed Milet, right? Most people know Ed Milet, one of the best high performance coaches in the world. Mm-hmm. And he says the difference between average people and successful people are successful people take massive immediate action without knowing what the end result is going to be. Yeah. Right. Whereas average people would just sit and tinker with their thumbs and try to plan to perfectionism, but we know perfectionism is the enemy to productivity. Yeah. Right. So that was a big win for me is 36 hours advance notice, putting together something and having, graphics and slides and being able to present on a stage in front of over 100 men and live launch, show all the men. And this was the whole point of it, was show the men what a live launch actually looks like. Yeah. Right. So that was great. I'd never done a public speaking engagement before. Obviously, I've been coaching on Zoom calls and in-person retreats and things like that for a long time, but never on a stage in that environment before. So that was cool. That was a big win for me. Of course, I learned a lot of lessons through it, but that's part of the process, right? There are no losses. They're either wins or lessons. So, but that was a big win though.
You just stole my segue, bro. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, because that's a win for you. The next question is, what's a loss, recent loss? Yeah, or recent failure, or well, mistake that led to a lesson truly. But
yeah, so I'd say a loss recently was I get kind of bogged down with the kind of your world, the tech side, the media side, and so I've wasted a lot of time burning through different social media experts, if you will, or video editors or SEO guys or website guys. So it's a side of the world that I don't enjoy is, I haven't been a social media guy my whole life. I've grown my coaching business strictly through word of mouth. And so, but now I'm recognizing to scale a business and to really scale a movement, you've got to be on social media, right?
Yeah.
So
you got to go where the people are.
So that's kind of a loss in my mind, is like I've because I haven't invested in that knowledge beforehand, I've kind of really had to pay a price the past few weeks in spending a lot of time trying to figure out what to do, what not to do, and it's just wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
But again, I've learned lessons through that, so I don't look at it as a loss necessarily, more like a lesson, and we're getting up to speed right now. So
well, dude, yeah, I can tell it's you got to hunger to master that discipline, because as much as we hate it, dude, I loathe social media with a passion, and my whole business is built around it, right? Because it is where the people are. It is where you gain the audience that you need, the audience that sees you with the authority that you need to like pull to make an impact, right?
Right.
Like if I'm going to help a business with their content, like they need to know about me, right? Same thing. If you're going to help people, if we're going to solve these problems of male loneliness, of, leadership in the home and all these things that you're looking to do, like it's almost like it's just like an absolute necessity, unfortunately, to use these platforms, but they're just used for so much negativity and just time wasting and stuff. It's really indicative that you master it like a discipline, really. And we try to teach people that too, as we've learned it. We're 6 years into business as a media company, and we're like, man, this is really a discipline. And so we're not really interested for just checking boxes for people, and like we'll deliver content and, deliverables to people, but the people we want to work with are the guys that are invested in that discipline of their brand. And like, no, this is why, right? It's not just like some companies, they have a checkbox like, oh, I need media, I need social media. And it's just like this afterthought for them. We've kind of excused ourselves from those relationships because we're looking for people that want to like live it too. As much as I don't like social media, I've had a lot of good things come from it, right? And so I hope the same for you. I think you're going to do it, right? Because that's a problem that's on your docket to solve. And that's just what Ty Condie does. I can already tell. So that was a loss though. You're just time wasting on that. Like,
yeah, just kind of burning through different options there. And so I'm just, that was a bit frustrating on that end, but like you said, it's a necessity, right? To really grow a brand and scale a business and launch a movement and grow a movement. Like it's got to be social, right? So
I think you should look at it like a discipline. Right. If I was to say anything in that regard before we move on, like I think another thing here is like a loss turning into an actual lesson and win is like you're in the social media dojo for the first time, and I was just telling this to some other clients. I was like, someone we had to let go pretty recently, but the concept was like, hey, you paid your dues in your industry, right? And you made your wealth. And that doesn't cross over to other industries. Like if you want to be a pro NASCAR driver, like you're going to have to go pay your dues as a driver.
Right.
Like I don't make millions in finance and then go be an astronaut instantly. Like I still got to go through that. Like I got to go be a pilot and do all that. So like there's a train. It's like I don't get successful in a business and then suddenly have a successful podcast or media empire. Like, so you have to really pay your dues in the dojo of any discipline. And that's kind of like, yeah, your loss is now a win, I guess.
Right.
yeah. Transformed. Boom. We just transmuted that right into a win. But that's the whole point. It's like, now give me like a personal loss. Like what's a mistake you made like in the last 5 days on a personal level, a shortcoming?
Right. I would say I'd say probably the last 7 days, I've been busier than I have the last 7 years, truthfully. And so, personal loss for me is I've let myself slip just a bit with my intentionality with my wife and my kids. And that's something that I really, harp on a lot in our coaching program is we are dads, right? We're disciplined, anchored defenders, but we're also dads. Yeah. Right. And so if you're doing all this and growing a business and growing spiritually and getting your body right and getting more physically fit, but if you're leaving your family, your wife and kids behind in the process, like that's a loss, right? The past 7 days I was just talking to my wife about this last night. It's just, Now, and she understands this is seasonal, right? We've got our big event coming up January 29th, this launching of this movement. And I got a lot of leads I'm working through, having a lot of conversations, but I felt a little bit out of alignment personally because I haven't had that invested time with my kids and with my marriage. And it feels off, right? Even though I know I'm doing something that's just seasonal, that's important, that it's a short timeline right now. I consider that a personal loss because even through the busiest seasons, I've got to make that intentional time to make sure that my wife feels seen, feels heard, feels valued, knows that she's still important, even during the busy seasons. And my kids, most importantly, they know that they have a dad no matter what the season is, right? No matter how busy dad gets, I'm always going to be there, right? And this past 7 days, I haven't, right? I haven't been there for the bedtimes each night. I haven't been there at family dinner each night. So that's something that just for me, looking back introspectively, I'm like, okay, I could have done better at being that dad, being that husband.
Right.
And so, but it's good. It's good feedback for myself. Like it has been the busiest 7 days of my life, but also it's like, okay, well, that's going to come. What are you going to do to make sure your family's still there with you?
Yeah. That's a good point, man. Yeah. It's interesting to just to be out of balance is sometimes necessary, right? To add more to the scales.
Right.
Like if I'm going to add, like we have this balance scale, right? Like the guy, he's got his routine perfect, right? Like, these guys, like they can't perform unless the routine is perfect.
Right.
Right. Like I did my journaling, I did my reading, I did the workout. I was on, I had the meeting, I did the sales calls. And like, I think there's a lot of power in regiment, right? But when something spins your way or some unknown, or like there's an opportunity to grow, like sometimes you probably prepped. What was that like? Did you prep your wife for this? You're like, hey, we're launching this. Like, how did that conversation go? Like, how does a man who's wanting growth, how do you prep your family for that imbalance? Or was that an afterthought? Like, oh, maybe that's where the mistake was. I didn't do that. Or did you? How did that look like?
Yeah, no, I think it's just very open conversation, having a conversation with my kids saying, hey, daddy's, I'm doing a presentation. This was last Thursday. I'm doing a big presentation, cause my birthday, my birthday actually was spent 16 hours in the office.
Yeah. Preparing.
Yeah, exactly. That was my birthday. But, so I had enough time in the morning for my kids to, sing happy birthday. Then I was out. My wife was actually working at the clinic from 5 a.m. to, was it noon or so? So I didn't even see her on my birthday because she was gone before I, was with the kids and things like that. But anyways, no, it's just very conversational. I think not avoiding the tough conversations. And so that was kind of a tough conversation is tell my kids and tell my wife, hey, I'm going to be really locked up the next 7 days, but really truthfully the next 21 days, right? As we get this off the ground and get ready for the catalyst on January 29th, that 2.5 day experience, like it's going to be really busy, a lot of prep time, a lot of conversations. And daddy's going to be working hard, right? He's going to be working hard, but just to know that it's just seasonal, right? People go through this. But yeah, that's kind of how we've approached our life, whether it's with, clients or whether it's with my spouse, whether it's with my kids and I love the quote that, I can't remember off the top of my head who said it, but it was, I think Tim Ferriss said, the quality of your life will be directly proportionate to the number of uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Right. So the people that avoid those uncomfortable conversations, they typically have less success and less quality of life. But if you can just not avoid those uncomfortable conversations, then the quality of your life will be increased. So,
dude, amen to that. I think a lot of men, that's a huge thing I don't think we're taught to communicate well. I think we're taught to communicate effectively, right? Like if I need to tell you where a machine gun nest is, I know exactly how to do that. Right. And there's that meme going around where these boyfriends, like they can't communicate their feelings, but they can communicate how to find the enemy in Call of Duty, like that, Right. And so the joke is like, oh, he can talk so well with these guys, but he can't communicate with me, right? It's this funny thing. So that's really cool that you have this conversation with your wife. That's something I would imagine that's really important for the dad's movement to understand. There's like how men actually go about that, because I think a lot of guys aren't even aware of like how their lack in communicating is affecting their life. Because they're like, I don't know, man, just do the most common sense thing. Like they just think, I'm looking at my uncles, my dad, and like, and I'm seeing the problems that they're facing in their marriages or lack of, as I'm an adult. And I'm just like, man, if these guys were communicating better, I could be better friends with my uncles, my dads, my brothers, right? Like, and like, it's just, what's your method of delivery when you teach that? Like you and your wife obviously came to that somehow. I think you just said you got 10 years under the belt in the marriage.
Right. We're coming up on 10 years right now.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. I feel a pull to kind of talk about that. I definitely want to talk about your movement coming, or your Catalyst event, because that name alone is kind of interesting. But maybe we can segue into the Catalyst event with this. Like how does that look? Like if we're talking to somebody today, it's that man that's realizing his communication might be the problem, or the lack of, or those hard conversations to have. It's hard to do with your wife because we want peace in that house. And if we are the one, and sometimes there's not, and it might be because we're not communicating effectively. So how did that look like for you guys in your marriage?
In how to communicate more effectively?
Yeah. Like, was there a period of like bad communication, or would you start out the gate with like some good advice? Because I know some people that have from the get-go have just had a great mentor and some bumps, but they had that good open communication the whole time. And it took, I'm on my third marriage, right? And the stoic don't talk about it kind of guy, that was me, right? Like, I'm a Marine, I don't talk about that, and it evolved, but at the cost. I had these evolutionary points where like I was broken, right? And that's how I learned, and I'm grateful for that. But like, how did that look like for you guys?
Yeah. So full transparency and vulnerability here. The first 7 years of our marriage, 6-7 years, was it was not communicative, right? It was very closed around those hard conversations. Actually, we just didn't have them, and that's where our marriage was at the worst, and it got progressively worse over the years, right? Because of, and this is really on me, my own mistakes was I carried the emotion of anger into my marriage, right? That's something that I talk about this a lot on, within my coaching sphere, but the emotion that I felt the most, especially in the athletic perspective, as a child growing up, was anger, right? That was the emotion that I felt the most. That was my default when I was playing basketball. That's what actually got me to achieve the highest level of athletics. Because when I could channel that anger into high performance, then that's where
you dunk it.
And that's where I had my identity as well, right? My identity was around my performance.
Darth Vader.
Exactly.
You're
so my performance was
that anger.
Yeah, my performance is linked to the anger. So this was an emotion that was very normal to me, right? And it was kind of my way of coping mechanism as well. My way of sedation from reality was I would just default to anger, so then I could exercise control over a situation that maybe I didn't have control over.
Yeah.
Right. And when I brought that to my marriage, that over time, obviously, as you can imagine, compounded in a negative way. So now my wife is, she's such a sweetheart. She grew up in a very mild-mannered home where, her dad is awesome guy. He's surfer guy from California, and
yeah, he's chill.
He is. He's super chill. And
cool
she
cucumber.
said that he not once ever raised his voice or ever said a swear word in the home.
Yeah.
And so, as you can imagine, hearing me just say a swear word to get even mildly angry, over the first 7 years of our marriage, like that had a profound effect on her. So now again, these was things that we just didn't talk about, right? She didn't, and this wasn't on her. I didn't create a safe environment for her to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So again, you talk about a dad, a DAD dad, a disciplined, anchored defender. This is a man who creates an emotionally safe space for his wife to actually open up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge, right? Because if she doesn't feel safe to open up and have a conversation, that conversation is not going to happen.
Right.
So, and that's what I experienced through my mistakes is not creating that in the first 7 years of our marriage, led to ultimately a very razor thin margin near divorce, right? And this was really on me, right? This was my own doing. And finally was able to, hit the rock bottom, which was a very painful phase of my life, but it was a necessary phase.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have ever got out of the anger cycle had I not been put into jail. Had I not spent 10 hours in the Washington County jail, I don't know if I ever would have learned what I needed to learn and gotten out of the anger cycle, right? To where I could then create that safe space for my wife to then have those difficult conversations like what we're talking about right now. So
100%, dude. And I think what's important about this, man, is like, you don't need that as a catalyst. See how we're going to tie this in? Do you see it? Yeah, but like that was a catalyst for you.
It was.
Right. And I think that's going to pour into this event. And like my catalyst was some other stuff, right? I was getting divorced. Of course, from a social justice standpoint, I had every card, like, I was cheated on. But I was gone a lot, and when I was around, I really wasn't making anything count because of the same anger, the same issue. But yeah, the catalyst for me was that third time around, I was like, man, I don't think I'm ever going to get married again. And as soon as I stopped like looking for a relationship, of course, wonderful woman comes along, Mallory, who's the co-owner of this company, founder of it, actually. So, but I made this commitment to myself that I was going to go into this marriage and I was going to say everything like I feel it. And I was never going to like hold anything back. And it's been rough too, because a lot of it was still dripped in anger, or, maybe I'm a little bit too condescending or whatever, but I was honest about, my past and everything with, the military and what I really experienced. I didn't suppress anything. I wanted her to know everything about me. And I made that commitment. And it's really the hard conversations. I would normally say, hey, that's hard. I don't have the energy right now.
Right.
And I'd be like, screw it. I don't care if we're up all night and like it's mad and like I break a lamp or she leaves in the car. Like it got messy for a while, but we just having that, it got polished over time. But because I got it out and I was communicating, even though it was poorly at first, like it was what saved me and being eligible for a good relationship. And to the ladies out there too, and to the husbands, like focus on what you can do, but the ladies got to make sure they maintain the safe space that you're trying to give. So if you see your man out there trying to do this, like make sure you just bolster him up, because that's really helpful. That's the one thing that my wife now has done, is she hasn't turned me into a criminal over dumb things. If she asks me to do the laundry, I do the laundry my way, and she doesn't have an issue with that. If I load the dishwasher differently, she doesn't care. If I'm running late and I eat some of her special healthy oatmeal, she doesn't throw something at my head like my previous wife's. Like, she's very down to earth, very calm. And so I think she's in the feminine state more. And so when I recommitted myself to like be honest and be vulnerable and like let the ego go and just communicate more, she could just withstand my crazy masculine, that anger. And so she's been the different change for me. She was a catalyst as well in a different way, because she could actually like stick around and be like, she was the backboard to my rim, right? Like to the basketball analogy, like since you're a basketball guy. But catalysts, right? That was a big catalyst for you guys then. So 7 years of horrible communication, and that moment that you've gone into detail on other content as well. Right. You're welcome to share that here if you want. But because of anger, spending time in the county jail, in the tank, we can put two and two together, right? I remember calling my Marine Corps command one time because I got a few of those misdemeanors. I think I'm at close to 30 hours combined in a couple different places. But I was in a culture that like patted you on the back for that. So I'm like shaking. I'm like calling my first sergeant. I'm like, I just got in a fight, and like this guy's not a good. I'm probably, I'm going to be in jail. And he's like, did you win? Excellent. We'll talk about it in the morning. Have a good one in the tank. And then I was just like patted on the back for that anger, right?
Interesting.
It's needed, right? If I'm going to go to war, like I want to be with Marines, because that's all. It's just pure anger, pure rage, violence. But it doesn't mesh well. And this was the thing I talked to you about. It doesn't mesh well in the home. It doesn't in the society. There's a place for it in defending, right? Which we'll get into maybe later. But yeah, so it's interesting to think about and talk about, but I really commend you for that, dude. I think it was awesome to hear you talk about that and seeing the room get really vulnerable. And what's funny is Ty tasked us and our media team to get reactions from men. And I don't know if you looked, were you able to scrub through that stuff at all?
I haven't had the time yet, but
there's some good stuff. But I was scrubbing through it with Caleb the other day, and I was like, okay, we found the file. And I was like, men are horrible at emotions. So there's a couple guys that get teary-eyed. There was a guy, some of them were in the back on purpose. And so I was looking at Caleb's footage, and we didn't get the emotion I think you were looking for. We got some good stuff, though. We got good reactions. We got good stoic contemplation. You know, we got these things. But a lot of guys have a problem getting vulnerable, right? And then I think, Caleb, you were saying this too. You can chime in on your mic. Because of this, because of men tightening up their communication, Caleb, what did you notice about these guys listening to the story that they might even resonate with? Because we all have been there. And what would happen when you point the camera at somebody?
Nobody likes when the camera points at them. They can immediately feel that it's looking at them, and then men will close up.
Yeah, dude, we saw some of this stuff, right? Like, pan to me real quick if you're on me. Are we on me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We saw this stuff. Oh. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I wish it wasn't like that as much, though. I think there's a place for it, right? Because nobody wants to look at a leader in the time of dismay and see somebody weak. Like, we want to see a Greek god up there with the chiseled jaw just staring into the sea like a Viking, right? Like looking into the storm. That's comforting to men. But what I like is getting vulnerable like this, you know, talking about it. Because I think we all come out of the storm, you know, with scars, and like we got to talk about those things. But it's interesting to talk about the emotion. I really appreciate you getting emotional on stage, and that was what kind of perked my interest up. I was like, So it was a combination. I'll tell you what it was a combination of, Ty. I kind of went into this. I was like, oh, okay, great. You know, we're going to go do some creation, get some content. And I'm like, oh, yeah, another men's group. Like, cool. Because I've been pitched up and down the block. But then you started getting vulnerable. And then I started but before and after, I was just monitoring you because you were the subject of my photography. So I was trying to get a feel for it. I couldn't help but notice how you interact with people after. You did a great job speaking. It was vulnerable. You didn't lose your dignity. You kind of owned these things. And that's what like being a man is you own your mistakes. And you just were like really realistic with people. Like when you're talking to somebody after the event, there was a few times where like a lot of people were vying for your attention. And of course you got to like, you know, hey, what's up everybody? But you were giving your undivided attention to these guys, some that you had met, some that you had just met. And you were like just listening to them. It was like there was like an invisible wall around you and them. And you were just giving your undivided attention to them. But as time went on and more people were coming for you, it you know, it's hard to do. You're like, okay, yeah, hey, what's up? Oh, hey, Tony, hey, Bob. But like for that first like 8 minutes after the show, and I was too unaware. I was like, man, I should have kept the camera rolling. What am I doing? Right. It was our first time working together, right? Just as much notice as you had, we had just, I think even less to get there that day to help you out. We were happy to do, but it was like, dude, so in the future, whether you use us for videography or whatever, like make sure that guy who's doing your social media is rolling all the time, getting that moment afterwards, getting the conversation. I should have kept you mic'd up. You remember how hastily I came over?
Right.
So that I asked you a mistake you made. This was my fuck up recently, bro. I was like, why didn't I keep the cameras rolling on Ty Condie? Why didn't I keep it mic'd up? I didn't know. And so that was my mistake recently. I've learned. So when you have a guy like Ty Condie, I'm going to do a whole content podcast about this, is like what's really trending right now in social media and other things is authenticity. It's not the scripted stuff. There's a place for all of that, right? And ads, curated story ads. Those will never go away, but people are craving real because of AI.
Yeah.
And because of, you know, the same thing we were fatigued of in the 90s, like Hot Wheels, like the latest in kitchen scrubbing utensils, like that kind of stuff. It just, we kind of go, oh man, like some Disney Channel kind of fake commercial, right? Like we're sick of that. And that's kind of becoming social media. It's just what is even real anymore? Like, did someone really do that card trick, or was that AI? Like, and so when you see someone like super authentic like that, that's why I wanted you on this show. I was like, the conversations we've been having, man, like that's what I really want. And so we got the professional like business card pitches out of the way. And like with realness, with that authenticity, I'd love to hear about your event coming up, this catalyst. Like I'm getting emotional right now because I know the catalysts in my life, and you've shared some of yours too with that group. And like, I know there's a bunch of dudes out there that need to get that out, but like, tell me about this event before I start getting too emotional.
So really it's a combination of multi-factors, right? So it's physical, right? It's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional. We kind of cover the 4 kind of key pillars of personal development and identity and purpose. But above all, it's we take the masks off, right? This is a place for guys to high-performing men to come into a space and recognize that they are not alone in their struggles. And that's a huge thing that I've seen in the coaching space for so many years now, is most men feel like they are alone in their struggles, right? Or what they're dealing with, or and that's just not the case, right? So there's a component where it builds community and builds brotherhood because of the vulnerability aspect of it, which is not overdone, right? But there is some where we slow it down a bit. We do some breath work, we do some meditations, we have some real one-on-one conversations while we're also having fun, right? We're building friendships, we're having fun, we're working on leadership, we're sharing some wins. So the Catalyst event is really a culmination of all those factors in this melting pot, which produces just this beautiful transformational result when guys play all out, right? When they go all in, buy into the process, and just let themselves be in the moment, right? So, but yeah, to your point, in talking about the vulnerability aspect of it, is I have found that men are most lovable when they are vulnerable, right? So many men feel like they're not lovable, or right, they don't have people that truly care about them. They don't have the 3 a.m. friend, right? The guy that they can call in a time of need, right? They don't have that. Well, you think about it in your own life. How many guys truly know who you are, right? Yeah. Not just what you do, not just how many kids you have, not just what business you run, but how many guys know who Blake really is, right? Who Ty really is.
Allow you to be that.
Right.
Continue. Like,
right. Without judgment.
Yeah.
Right.
No expectation. Just we come as you are.
Yeah.
Like that's
and unsurprisingly, huge. Most men's answer to that is 0. There's 0 people that know the inner workings of me, right? What my true aspirations are, what my true goals are, what my weaknesses are, right? What I'm really working towards. And so that's a huge part of the Catalyst event is we take the masks off, we get vulnerable, we get real, we have real conversations that you just don't find in a normal seminar, a normal workshop, a normal even Bible study class or religious setting, or just hanging out with the friends. Because even, if you have friends, very rarely do you go deep with them, right? Yeah. Very rarely do you have like the ancestral heritage where they go up on the mountain and they sit around the fire and they have just like the elders of the tribes are speaking wisdom from real vulnerable, authentic stories to the younger generation. You just don't see that anymore, right? Yeah. So that's a huge part of the Catalyst, is having real, authentic conversations that most men have never had before. Right. And just what comes from that when men actually tell the truth, right? Whether it's wins, whether it's losses, whether it's goals, whether aspirations, truth precedes transformation.
Yeah, dude. And like, I have this question right now in my mind that just popped in my head. Like, how many guys are out there right now that forget the receipt when they go to Sportsman's Warehouse or something, right? Or what, they fib. Oh, why did you buy that? You come home to the wife and she's like, why did you buy that? I remember feeling this like twinge of just anxiety to like justify me spending my own money in a way or whatever it was, or maybe we didn't have money and I was still buying stuff, like being a dumbass. But like I bought whatever it is, like just subconsciously, like automatically, I'd be like, it costed $80 and I'd be like, it was like 69. This was like $70. And I'd be like, why did I just lie about that? You know, like I'm lying to be safe, to like avoid a problem, and just to be like, just weird stuff like that. It was like, She knows I bought it. Like, it wasn't on sale. Why did I say it was on sale? Why? I'm trying to lessen the blow of like trying to, you know. And so I think a lot of guys, sometimes we say stuff even around other guys and we're like, we're not quite open to that yet. It's like, it's okay if I just like, I failed. Like, I didn't work out at all yesterday. I didn't do anything, man. I lost. I sat on the couch and watched Game of Thrones or whatever, and I ate ice cream like a fat kid. Like, that's all right, though. It's like, hey, just do better next time. You know, it's the next one. Or it's like, I didn't watch the left flank and we lost 4 men that day. It's hard to say. It's hard to say that around people that could potentially slit your throat in your sleep, like, or like not have your back, or hang you out to dry, or throw you to the hangman, right? Like, or you're the fall guy, you're the pawn, like, you know how people are, right? And I remember you mentioning you had kind of a rough social experience in like younger age,
right?
Because of that like mistrust. It's like, how could you really be truthful if like, you know, they're going to point and laugh, or they're not going to invite you to the thing, you know, you're going to get kicked, you're going to get picked last for dodgeball. Right. And what blew my mind is like, when I met Ty, we were at this event, like you were invited by Mike's group. And then like the guys that came from you and the guys there was this wide variety of guys. You had these blue collar athletic guys. You got like some potheads that are just in the studio making music and beats. And then me and Caleb, we're like true to form board game and card game nerds, man. Like, yeah, we're the nerds. Like I was the jock in high school that was like also the closet nerd. I loved stuff like that. And so the guys that we were talking to were like, I was talking to a guy for like 10 minutes after your thing, just about board games and how we're going to play. I got his phone number to play board games. I was like, dude, the depth of people that are involved with the dads movement and Mike's group as well, because you launched with them.
Right.
It's kind of like your foundation, right? And the depth that, like, you know, there's a lot of people that felt welcome there. Right. I've been to a lot of events over at the Kiln Space. I've never seen that place that packed. Yeah, my event was like 30 people about podcasting. Like we didn't even fill like 3 rows. You know what I mean? Like it was funny, but yeah, very, very impressive stuff, dude. I think what you're talking about is potent. I think you're living it. So how does someone get involved with this event though? The Catalyst. How does it, like someone listening to this right now? We're going to put this on social media. How do they find you? Specifically, this event in St. George.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram. So like true to form, I'm now a social media guy, right? I haven't been a social media guy for the past 10 years. I've just grown specifically through word of mouth and do a lot of in-person events, things like that. But I'm now a social media guy. That's one of my new identity parts, my authentic identity, as I'm now very involved in social media. So at Dad's Movement on Instagram. You can reach out to me there, send me a DM, or dadsmovement.com, right? You can fill out the application there, just some basic questions. Just allow me to find more about who you are, right? Because ultimately, it's got to be a mutually good fit. The Catalyst event and the Dads Movement, it's not going to be for everybody, right? And that's on purpose, right? There is a filtering system to protect the container of men that are going to be at that experience.
Could you? That's really important, because I think one of our first interactions, we were talking kind of philosophy stuff. It was like, if you're qualifying somebody, you're also kind of disqualifying them. Or if you're disqualifying somebody to be like a lead or a client, in a way, you're doing the opposite as well. So in that sense, what would constitute somebody being not a good fit for the Dads Movement? Yeah,
so pretty simple. I like to make it as simple terms as possible. I call this guy lovingly, I call him the good enough guy. Right. So it's when I have conversations, and I have hundreds of conversations every single week, right? When I have a conversation with a guy and ask him, hey, how's your fitness? Well, it's good enough. I'm pretty good. How's your marriage? It's going good. It's good. How's your business? It's going good. Everything is just good. It's hey, do you feel like you need him? No, I'm pretty good. I'm good with where I'm at. That's like he's living on, I call it isolation or average island, right?
Yeah, you're like, what do you got figured out? Man? That sounds pretty
right. He's
pretty
good.
great.
He's good enough guy. He's good enough. There's nothing wrong with that. But if he's identifies himself as the 9-to-5 guy that wants to punch in, punch out, come home, he's very routine, or he's not looking for more, right? He's not seeking the best performance version of himself. That's not a good fit.
Yeah.
The guy that really gravitates towards me, and I love the phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. Right. Yeah. So ultimately, who's a good fit for the dads movement? Well, it's guys that are, like me. And again, I'm by no means a perfect example of the perfect man. I'm very open with my mistakes and the hard parts of my life I've learned, from hell and back again. But I am consciously obsessed with transformation. Right. And that's why I say, if you want to point one thing that's going to be a qualifying factor for a guy that is part of the dads movement, is obsession with transformation. Obsession with that best version of himself. Because truthfully, it requires obsession, right? To have a marriage that's just thriving, you got to put in work. You've got to be obsessed with that factor of your life. To have a business that's thriving, that's crushing it, that doesn't just happen, right? You're obsessed with that. To have kids that when you come home and walk through the front door, your kids run up to you and they are excited to see you. Right. That requires obsession as a dad, really investing in that. So that's the kind of guy that we're looking to find that's going to be attracted towards this movement and other like-minded men, is that obsession with transformation, with change, with optimizing your performance in every aspect of life. Right. Nice. So again, nothing.
So to sum it up in one word, It would be like apathy, the apathetic man.
Right.
He's not really a fit. Right?
Apathy is not a good fit.
Yeah. Right. There's a lot of power in certain scenarios where you're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need to get hyped up about this crazy political psyop. I'm good. Mm-hmm. Thanks. There's power in that. But yeah, when you're clearly needing change and, like the barn's on fire and you're like, we're good here. Like,
right.
The ship is sinking.
Right.
You're going to lose your marriage, or you're going to lose whatever. You're going to, the business is going down and you're just apathetic about it. I think that's a no-go.
Right.
Someone who's not willing to get up there.
Yeah. That's kind of like the bottom end of the scale, right? If the barn's on fire and things are like massively out of alignment in your life and you're still not changing, then that's a huge red flag. That requires some therapy there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about the guy that's things are going pretty good, right? It's like a cruise ship that's just on cruise control.
Yeah.
Right. Where things are they're moving along at a steady pace and he doesn't want to really change it. He's not looking to get to destination faster.
Maybe not apathetic.
Comfort.
Yeah.
Just comfort. The comfortable guy.
Gotcha.
Matter of fact, we actually preach the importance of discomfort, of seeking discomfort, because this is another quote, there is no growth in the comfort zone, but there's also no comfort in the growth zone.
Yeah.
So guys that are seeking growth, they're also seeking discomfort because they know that's what it's required. To get from point A to point B requires stretching, and that stretching is typically uncomfortable.
Agreed.
Right.
Very much so.
But just one other thing to just kind of distinguish what we're going for here at the Dads Movement is this isn't a place for broken men that are just at the bottom of the you're at rock bottom. Now, guys have problems, of course, and we address those. We don't hide from any conversation.
This is for the person that wants optimization.
This is for the guy that, exactly. They're functioning. They're living life, but they recognize that there's a ceiling that they want to break through, right? So they're performing at a high level, but there's a ceiling they want to break through and get to a higher level, and they know that it's required to be around in a room of men that are also like-minded. And they're going to push them to a higher level, because everyone knows, whether you're military or sports or anything in between, when you are around a group of men that are like-minded like you will push yourself more than you can on your own.
Agreed.
Like if you're doing combat stuff or military style training or the Army combat fitness test, whatever it may be, when you're doing this in a group, I guarantee you're going to push yourself harder and get more out of it than if you're just doing it solo.
Agreed. And whether you're like top leading the pack, it's to prove competence and reliability within the tribe.
Right.
And it's very much the thing. I might be the best at one thing, but in the 3 mile time to run, like I'm low run, but like, yeah, I'll carry you for 5 miles on my back. Like,
right.
There's very much this like tribalism about that. And like I was telling you on the phone today, like I used to think I was disciplined, and then it was just my environment, like kind of forcing me to be like, I was like always on time and, in shape and always had an answer. And I was doing the things that you do when you have a team. I played team sports growing up like you, and the military was a continuation of that. And then you take away the team, you take away the environment all of a sudden. And that's what hits veterans hard. Like nothing, no camaraderie, nothing, no tribe. Your discipline is gone too. And so a lot of veterans go into really dark spots. I was no stranger, no exception there. But yeah, I think it's important though to define this for people, right? Like the dad's movement is people that are functioning, that are trying to optimize.
Right.
Yeah. So I say this, and I want to point this out to you too, because when you're on the internet and when you start growing your social media page, because you start attracting people from all walks of life. But like there are energy vampires out there, right? We're seeing them right now. Go to 24-hour fitness right now. And they won't, people that are there right now for their New Year's resolution, they won't be there next week. It's just the way it goes, right? And there's a whole bunch of memes about that every year, right? Because the energy vampire, every year as a media company, we get, I think I've had probably 5 phone calls of just people leeching creative energy. They just want someone to validate their idea of doing a podcast. And they got these elaborate ideas, man. I spent way too much time on the phone with a guy today who's just like, his dysfunction was seeping through the conversation, right? He was saying the things he knew that I would bite on, and he was just leeching my energy. Come to find out, like, it's just all talk, nothing's there. It took me 2 days, 2 separate phone calls to realize like this guy's just kind of delusional. So as that happens, it's very important to define that for the dad's movement. Like if you're trying to function, maybe Ty, you could probably point them in some help, I would imagine. But
right.
I don't know if that's going to be the spot for them until they get, once you're like holding the job and you're paying all your family's bills and you're doing all, you don't have the addiction. That's where the dad's movement's really for, right?
Yeah. And again, just to clarify, I never turn down a conversation with any man,
sure,
right? Because I know what it feels like to have no friends. Mm-hmm. I know what it feels like to be sitting alone in a motel with a Glock in my hand, thinking about ending my life and having no one to call.
Yeah.
Right. Having no one to talk to, no one to call. I know what that feels like. I know what rock bottom. I know the pain of rock bottom.
Yeah.
And I am adamantly obsessed with having being that friend for someone that's in need. Right. So
yeah, man. Amen.
But yeah, so again, I want to clarify that is
you're going to help somebody out regardless.
Correct.
Yes.
It may not be catered towards the guy that is feeling broken at rock bottom. But I never turn down a conversation with a guy that needs a friend. I mean, above all, I think friendships are so hard to come by in today's world. And like I said, I keep going back to the stat again and again, but you survey a room of 1,000 high-performing men and ask them the question, how many close friends do you have to call upon in a time of need? Mm-hmm. The most common answer is 0.
Yeah. Yeah. How many friends do you have that would help you hide a body?
Yeah, right. That's another way to
that's the Marine Corps joke.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the 3 a.m. friend, right? No matter what, no matter the weather, no matter the time, no matter the place, right? Like, yeah, it's a true thing. And so you extended that to people actually. Like you can call and reach out to the dad's movement. If you're in that low of a spot, the group might not be formatted for you, but you will get help.
Right.
You will get that attention, right? And of course, you would probably move heaven and earth to get somebody away from that Glock motel scenario.
Of course, yeah, of course.
I've been there so many times. Dude. I started tearing up taking photos when you're talking about that because I've been there. I don't think there's in fact, I'll venture to say this. I think that moment in every man's life is like a sacred thing. When you realize, like, you could take an easy way out. You could go. But where's the challenge? after that? Like, where's the fun in that? And so it is very common these days, and it's sacred. And what's funny is it's not illegal to end it like that. It's an option. Don't do it, but it's there. And it's like the value is in choosing not to. That's the real test. It's the strength of doing that. And so I commend you for being there, like, because that you can probably still think about what that trigger feels like.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what cold polymer and steel feels like in your hand. Like it's there. It's real, and it's dark, and there's a way through. So anybody listening to this, if you're there right now, like, you can reach out to me too, but Ty's the guy. So reach out to the Dads Movement. But look how vulnerable this is, though. I mean, you're not a bad person for thinking that. You're not a bad person for being where you currently are. There's always more to come.
And if I could just add one thing to that,
Please.
Blake, and this is credit to my friend Mason Sawyer, who was a guy I didn't know at the time, but I happened to watch his podcast. It's just kind of what we're doing here. He had a conversation and he talked about his story, which is just incredibly impactful. And
Isn't he local?
He is.
Dude, I'm like, why do I know that name?
Mason Sawyer. He's
been in our studio before.
Phenomenal guy. A great, impactful story, really
Very
impactful
much.
Story. I mean, if you're a father, you're a dad, you're just a man, you can't listen to a story and not just feel just an overwhelming amount of love and support for him and for the life that he's living right now. And the principles that he teaches, one of which was what reshaped my mindset, which I'd like to say to anyone that's out there right now that's struggling with a situation, is he says, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% about what you respond next. Right. So just think about that. Like, heaven and hell can collide, and the forces of nature are against us in every way, seemingly so. But if you think about it in the mind, like, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% about what you do next. That's really powerful.
And that Mason Sawyer, shout out to him, man. I mean, that 10% he experienced, that's a heavy 10%. 10%. Right. He could have made a lot of decisions with that tragedy and stuff. So, like, that's a great. So that you were kind of down in the dumps when you found him.
Yeah. It was a YouTube video. I was all alone in the motel, just had gotten out of jail. My mom had bailed me out of jail. And I just, my wife wanted nothing to do with me because, this is the whole backstory here. But my anger issues led to a breaking point where a situation with my dad involved and became physical altercation, which led me to being in jail. Was in jail for 10 hours, got bailed out by my mom, but got booked into got checked into a Motel 6. And at the time, my dad had a restraining order against me. My wife wanted nothing to do with me. She didn't feel safe, nor should she have felt safe. And I was just sitting all alone in there with a Glock, with no friends, no conversations, just thinking, just ruminating, and just happened to come across a YouTube video with Mason Sawyer. Watched that, and my emotions just overcame me, and I made that decision. Thankfully, to the good Lord above, made the decision to say, hey, you know what? I am at rock bottom here, right? This is not a fun situation. Like, I've had a lot of successes. I've had some financial wins, had a lot of athletic wins, athletic successes, and I've done some great things. But man, what a humbling experience rock bottom was. And also what a resource-rich experience rock bottom is. I think I'll paraphrase a quote somebody said is rock bottom is rich of learning and resources if you just allow yourself to be open to it.
Yeah,
right?
You know what else they say about rock bottom?
What's that?
It's the best foundation to build on.
Yeah, it absolutely.
It's bedrock.
Right. So
I like that quote. In fact, I was actually, to wrap things up, again, you can find Ty if you want to connect. Instagram DMs are probably the best
Yeah,
would imagine,
I'm
right?
on Instagram. I mean, I think there's when you Instagram DM, sometimes it goes to a different folder. I'm just learning that right now. There's
Make
like
sure you follow the page first.
a primary folder. There's a general folder. Then there's like a request folder. So something you don't. So anyways, but dadsmovement.com, you can fill out an application. It's just a few questions. Allows for me to kind of read more about you. And overall, I just love having conversations, right? So
it's true, man.
Whether it's
our phone calls are problems, actually, because we got stuff to do.
Right.
And Ty will ask a question, and then we're like 30 minutes into a philosophical discussion.
It's great. Yeah, we're talking earlier today about Socrates and about,
And we didn't even talk about all of that stuff. I wanted to hit on that, but I like where we went today. But
yeah, I will say one thing, because I found this very profound that we were talking about earlier about, because it is also true to the dads movement, right? This is, what is a DAD? So it's a disciplined, anchored defender, right? But I just think back in historical times, like the examples of these best philosophers and genius, whether they're artists or medical physicians, from dating back to, the Romans and the Egyptians, all these different ancient times. These guys weren't fat, right? You just didn't see that back then. They weren't, didn't have the dad bod. They were intellectually and spiritually and emotionally sound, but they are also physically elite. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're bringing back into society now with the dads movement, is guys that are physically a weapon, right? They can squat, they can bench, they can push, they can pull, they can hinge, they can run, they can jump. They're versatile athletes, but they're also strong, and they're physically a weapon. But then they come home and they can create that emotional space for their wife. Right. They do work on their, it's kind of like, I use the term, the warrior monk. Right. Mm-hmm. It's the combination of the warrior physique, the Spartan warrior, with the humble and meek and peaceful monk. Right. Just combining those two together.
Yeah. He'll stay calm and make you have a really bad day if you act up.
Right. Yeah. And that's truly
calm.
Jordan Peterson talks about being the dangerous man, right? Danger is kind of has a negative connotation because it's confused with violence, right? Being a dangerous man's meaning you have the capability to act when needed. But also, you have simultaneously the skill to restrain it.
Yes.
Right. Violence, or as you said, Blake, the other day, volatility. Right. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between capability and volatility. Yeah. Right. Capable man is the dangerous man.
We were talking about explosives too.
Right.
Like nitroglycerin, extremely volatile.
Right.
Like C4 explosive putty is very stable.
Correct.
But equally explosive. Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's such a good. And we didn't even talk about Bushido, but that's very much the Bushido way. You brought that up in your talk too. So, I mean, honestly, we could go on for a long time, but we'll wrap it up today. Is there any final thought or anything you'd want to add, punctuate, sentence, or a quote? Actually, let's do a quote. Leave us with a quote to wrap up. And if you need a minute.
I love the quote, and I've referenced Ed Milet a couple of times now, so I'll reference him one more time, because he was a big influence. Even though I don't know him personally, I would love to meet him in person. But he was an influencing force in my life during this difficult phase of my life, right? And he has a quote that says, "You are most qualified to help the person that you used to be." And I think this is something that wherever you're at in life, you are a leader, right? And that's really my envision and my goal with the dads movement is not to necessarily follow me or emulate my life by any means. Heaven's sakes, I've made mistakes that can go enough for everybody, right? To share it, but I envision the dads movement of being a place where leaders are creating more leaders, right? Because truthfully, a true leader is one that doesn't create followers. He creates new leaders. So I think in terms of leadership, and we talk about this within the coaching program, true leadership means that you can step into that place where you know that your mistakes, they don't disqualify you. In fact, they actually qualify you to help that person that you used to be. So maybe you were broke, but you're not so broke anymore. You can help that guy. Maybe you had an addiction to pornography, but now you don't anymore. You can help that guy. Maybe you had a terrible marriage. I had a terrible marriage. I don't anymore. I can help that guy, right? Maybe you used to be fat and now you're not fat anymore. Maybe you used to be unfit. Now you're not unfit. You're an athlete now, right? You're physically in shape. You can help that guy that's going through it right now. So I love to see guys step into that with confidence and with power, whether it's within their family, leading their kids, their wife, their businesses, their employees, their teams. There's so many people that are looking at you as an example, as someone that they look up to. And so don't shy away from that because you're imperfect or because you've made the mistakes. Those mistakes are actually what qualify you to help that person that you used to be.
Amen to that, man. That was well said. I really like that. That is a great punctuation to a great discussion. I really appreciate you being on the show, man. This
Thanks
has been
for having
another
me.
Episode of Authentic Identity. Ty Condie, thank you. You got Dad's Movement, at Dad's Movement on Instagram. Hit him up. But yeah, man, I think you're gonna I'm happy you launched. Like, it's just gonna be an interesting year to watch you grow. I think it's gonna hit you. 2026 is going to be a big year for a lot of people.
I love it.
I think you're on the list.
Yeah. And, one of my clients just said recently, 2026 is the year of the 6-pack. So,
there you go.
Just kind of use that phrase there. But 6-pack of abs, not 6-pack of beer. Just for those that are wondering, it's a 6-pack of abs.
I was hoping for the beer there.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Right.
Excellent, man. Well, thanks for being on, dude.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Peace out.